I think, on the outside of, not sure if that's 33 or not, but we've certainly got one driver whose qualifying session has come to an end prematurely. He's sat on the outside of hairpin number 2, taking no further part in our two-stroke qualifying session. Wasn't Prentice, there he is in the background, peeling off into the pit lane, happy enough with his time. We're still going to need the 18 of Cals Cole and the 89 of Dan Kell to improve by over half a second to dispose him from his provisional pole position. Not uncommon here at Teesside to find one of our junior drivers on the outright pole position. The lighter, more nimble junior car, especially in changeable conditions, certainly negates the difference in power as Smith improves in the number 3, moves up to 14th. Lowther goes down to 15th. So disappointing session so far for the 08 as we see Cals Cole in the 18 going down the inside of one of our junior drivers, Sandro Ballesteros, currently running in 10th, 4th overall in juniors. As the checker comes out, Lowther improves slightly up to 13th. Steve Kell and Adam Parker down in 19th and 20th respectively. William Young comes through, no improvement for him in the 92. So, unless Dan Kell can find nearly a second, he finds something but not enough, moves up to 3rd, moves Cole and Ambrose down to 4th and 5th respectively. So we have Max Prentice, Ryan Elliott, Dan Cole, Cals Cole. Then we have Andy Ambrose, Alfie Lindsay, Ben Puccini, and so, good morning and welcome to Teesside Karting for round number 9 of the NRG Cycles Owner-Driver Series. Live on all of the platforms to watch today's racing on. On the Teesside Karting Facebook page, but nonetheless, looks like we are live everywhere now, so no excuse for missing any of the action. To see our two-stroke drivers coming over the weighbridge at the end of their qualifying session. We saw junior driver Max Prentice on pole position. One further qualifying session remaining. They are off out in the background. That is our senior Pro Kart drivers. They are out onto the track. Once they are done, we will start with our first race of the day, which will be our Bambino class. 2 rounds of races for you, so we'll have Bambinos, Junior Pro Karts, Cadets, 2 strokes and Senior Pro Kart. We'll have 2 rounds of those, then we'll have a half-an-hour lunch break and then be back for round number 3 and the final. Plenty of Senior Pro Karts out there today. The much more favourable conditions, finding drivers signing on. So as they come through, the first driver out on track, yesterday's overall final winner, the 111 of Jake Brooker. So he'll be the first one through to start his flying lap. Drivers taking much more of a dry line now through there than yesterday. Our senior Pro Kart drivers wearing a colourful array of race suits compared to yesterday's primary black waterproof oversuits as they were splashing their way with their slick tyres through the puddles as the 52 of Connor White and the 113 of Ben Fallon argue over the same bit of tarmac. White racing yesterday, Fallon not, so White more familiar with the conditions. Goes to the inside of the South Bank loop, Fallon goes right round the outside in search of grip. 54 behind them is Alan Lowes. So Rob Lowe trying to find himself some grip, and behind them the 43, the 2019 Teesside Senior Pro Kart champion of Connor Lucas. First lap through, and the benchmark is a 55.3 for Jake Brooker. So everybody coming through, and it's a superb lap by Brooker. A 55.3 is 8/10 faster than anybody else. 8/10 faster than Lucas. It's around about 6/10 faster than Folkus as well. So at the moment it's Brooker, Folkus, Lucas and Harris. Nigel Richardson, Rob Lowe, Scott Tate, Martin Black, Danielle Gardner and Connor White, the top 10. Then we have Steve Nichols, Paul White, finding the dry weather conditions much more to his liking than yesterday's wet conditions in the 411. David Brewis, Tom Lowther, Adam Wood, Mark Tate, Ben Fallon, Ross Jackman, Simon Doughty and Emma Brown. That's your 20 on the timing screen. There's plenty more than that out there on track. So we've got Olben Dow and Josh Yeadon out there as well. So we've got 22 drivers circulating and setting times at the moment. The one to beat though at the moment is Jake Brooker. Improvements from Folkus and Lucas, but certainly not enough. They still need 2.5 tenths, so quarter of a second. I think if Lucas can find his way past Connor White and get some free space, or if these drivers can at the very least work together to push each other round, they might need to work together to beat Brooker, who's out on his own at the front of the field, setting his own times, minding his own business, keeping his head down and putting in the times that find him on provisional pole. 6.5 minutes remaining of a 10-minute session. He's dropped it into the 54s for the first time, a 54.6. Still a couple of seconds off a full dry pace, as we see drivers taking different lines round the hairpins in search of grip, slippy corners. One thing that we do see is that last curve of the 4 through the chicane. Drivers like to hit that one and set themselves up for the hairpin to the left, which comes very, very quickly after that as you're going through those chicanes at full speed before punching the brake pedal and flicking the kart left into the first of the 4 tight hairpins here in the middle part of the Teesside circuit. Bookended at either end by the banked south bank corner at the bottom end and the national loop at the top end just after the start line, with the bus stop chicane thrown in there as well for good measure. Connor Lucas finds the way into the 53s and finds himself on provisional pole. A 53.9 is 1/10 better than Brooker. Martin Black as well jumps up into the top 3. Quickly finds himself down in 4th though as Folkus comes through and improves. So it's status quo of Lucas and Folkus on the front row, as we've mentioned many, many times this season. Brooker in the 111 will start 3rd as it stands. You will notice as well the colours next to the positions, in between the positions and the drivers' names. Blue numbers are our senior or our pro drivers. Then we have clubman drivers in the red number, and then we have green, which is our 40s class, which championship has been settled already. That one has been taken by the number 81 of Mark Tate, who is currently 3rd in class on position at the moment, behind Steve Nichol, who took a superb first heat win yesterday in the wet weather conditions, dictated the race from pole position and drove off into the distance halfway through and got himself a first heat victory here at Teesside this season, making the long trip up from Surrey well worth its while for the number 58. Brewis though is our fastest 40s driver at the minute. Brewis, Nichols, Tate, Richardson, Wood. So the time to beat at the moment is a 52.925 by Josh Folkus in the O-plated kart, and he's just on track behind. There's the 53 of Connor Lucas coming through, now followed by Jake Brooker. Connor Lucas improves, goes on to provisional pole, finds 3/10. So Brooker has dropped back on track behind the 43 of Lucas, potentially looking for a tow. That is the O plate of Focus, following the blue helmeted Martin Black, and they're going to try and go side by side through the chicane when it's quite obviously single file through there on any other lap than the start here at Teesside. And don't be surprised to find drivers finding their way over those curbs, certainly at the start, and getting a little bit of air. It's not uncommon to see one driver fly off in the background as he gets a little bit of air over those curbs. So at the moment we have 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining of our final qualifying session of the season, and it's a provisional front row of Connor Lucas and an improved Jake Brooker. Then it's Josh Fulkus and Rob Lowe, Sam Harris, Connor White, Ben Fallon, Danielle Gardner, Martin Black and Paul White in to the top 10. Paul White making his Pro Kart debut for this season at the least at Teesside yesterday in the very changeable conditions. It was incredibly wet in the morning, and the afternoon would be described as mildly moist. It's certainly drying out now out there. Senior Pro Karts running on slick tyres only, no matter what the weather conditions, so they floated around yesterday morning, and then in the afternoon they went in search of some grip. 1 minute and 50 seconds remain. Drivers will probably get 1 or 2 further laps as we see the number 13 of Martin Black coming through, affectionately nicknamed Scottish. Doesn't take much to figure out why, as he comes through, improves his time, finds himself in 7th with a 53.904. Top 2 split by just over 1.5 tenths, and it's Lucas, your 2019 champion, on the front row. Secured that at round 7 yesterday morning with our very, very early start here at Teesside. You can watch that meeting back and all the meetings from this season on the Alpha Live YouTube page. Not just here from Teesside Karting, but events from all around the country you'll find covered via Alpha Live. That's the 757 of Simon Doughty, a driver we saw earlier in the season make his debut here at Teesside and has improved with every round that he's entered this season. Currently finds himself in 14th place. Out there, you will normally find the top 20s here split by less than a second, but the ever-drying circuit playing havoc with the times of the midfield. As we find Josh Fulkus finds his way into a 51.8, so circuit definitely drying as the first couple of laps were set in around about the 55-second mark. So as our drivers continues to circulate and dry this circuit out, we'll hopefully have a full dry session, and we have no rain forecast for the day. Connor Lucas comes through with a 51.7, and Fulkus can't beat it, so it's all going to be down to Brooker or White. White jumps to an impressive 7th in the 411. Struggled a little bit yesterday in the wet weather conditions, finding the dry much more to his liking. So we await 2 drivers. Lucas, though, still has the opportunity to improve in the 43. Either way, it looks like Jake Brooker's going to be clubman pole. Nigel Richardson on 40s pole in the number 19. So we have Brooker and Lucas coming through. Brooker in the 111. Lucas comes through, no improvement. Brooker improves but can't, so it's Connor Lucas on pole position for our senior pro karts. We'll be back in a few moments as that brings an end to qualifying. With the first of our races, it will be our Bambino class. We'll be first out to start our race day here at Teesside Karting. Don't go anywhere, it'll be about 1 or 2 minutes and our Bambino will be out on the track. time to go racing. It's time for our first race of the day, and it will be our Bambino time trial class. On pole position will be the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn in the Seoul I Army. There she is in the number 7 with the green number board on the back. Behind her, our pole sitter in Bambino is the number 44 of Edward Haynes. So Scarlett makes her way off and through the chicane in the I Army. Then the 44 of Haynes trying to weave the kart to get a little bit of heat into the all-weather LeConte tyres for our Commas. The 53 of Bobby Pete makes his first appearance of the weekend. So we have 8 minutes for our Bambino class. And 4 is Oliver Sibbald in the background. So there is your leader, the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn, the Seoul I Army driver out there as she continues her progress into the cadet class. Down the back straight and into the looped corner at the bottom end of the circuit. To hairpin number 3 for the first time. Behind her, our lead driver in Comma, the number 44 of Edward Haynes. Goes round the bottom corner. Bambino is running a time trial format, so they start off in single file and continue all the way round to the checkered flag. Drivers with the best cumulative time are deemed to be the winner. So the first one through the checkered flag might not necessarily be the winner, so it's all important to keep an eye on the timing screen and see where the driver that you are following will appear as they come through. And first time round it's Scarlett Dunn, then Bobby Pete sets the fastest opening lap of this Teesside National Circuit. So the 53 of Pete and the 44 of Haynes, followed by the 4 of Sibbald and the 66 of Edward Rye and the 69 of Riley Buckton Young. Then we have the 88 of Carter, 13 of Lewis Smith making his first appearance of the weekend as well, and the number 8 of Harrison Dunn reappears took part in the yesterday morning session at the end of round number 7, missed the rest of the day for round 8 but reappears for this dry round number 9. Yeah. 5 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in our Bambino drivers. In full dry conditions, they're aiming for a lap in and around the 1 minute and 1 second mark. Scarlett Dunn with a 1:01.74. I'm sure we'll find her go just below the 1 minute mark later on in the day as the track warms itself up with that I Army kart. The 53 of Pete showing a great turn of pace at the start. He's caught up on the back of the number 4 of Oliver Sibbald already. So we have Dunn, Pete, Haynes, Sibbald, Rye, Smith, Carter, Buckton, Young and Dunn. Dunn at the back looks like he's catching up onto the back of Rye at the very the 7 of Scarlett Dunn comes through. I think she might have put a lap onto Harrison Dunn. She has. That's a brother-sister combo there. Scarlett in the 7, Harrison in the 8. Scarlett running the I Army and Harrison in the Comma. Comma's running the all-weather grooved LeConte tyres, whereas the I Armies have the option of a wet and a dry tyre. So certainly more grip to be found with their Army, and there's more power in them as well. So a steady progression up through, starting with Comma and then going into I Army, getting the drivers ready for the inevitable move into the cadet class when they reach the year of their 8th birthday. So we have drivers as young as 5 years old here at Teesside. We saw earlier in the season the emergence of the 44 of Edward Haynes, who is one of our youngest drivers here on the grid at Teesside. 13 of Lewis Smith finds his way through the chicanes at the start of the circuit before going into the first hairpin. Scarlett Dunn with an improved time of a 1:01.224. 4 laps in as we see the 69 of Riley Buckton Young. Had a difficult qualifying session with a trip into the pit lane for a problem, got himself back out, and then ended up with an issue on his final lap, so couldn't improve. Finds himself at the moment in 8th place. So done. Bobby Pete leads our comma class at the moment in the number 53, from Haynes in the 44 and Sybil in the 4. Sybil was on the podium yesterday. See our overall leader, the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn. Then we'll cut to the 8 of Harrison Dunn, just starting his racing career in the comma class and improving with every time he gets out there in the race seat. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining as we see Riley Buckton-Young fighting with his Bambino through the chicanes, turning the wheel left and right, trying to get them through that bus stop and trying to find the grip, as we see a drying line certainly through the middle part of that corner. The inside of that corner best resembled a lake yesterday and was coned off for the safety of everybody really. It was about 4 or 5 inches deep on the inside of that corner, and we don't want people going through that, least of all our Bambino drivers. Dunn makes her way round the bottom corner and into the right-hander. One of 3 drivers that was in with a shot of the championship yesterday, which was eventually won by the number 22 of Thomas Potter. You will find him out for the first time in our cadet class later on in the day. Sandwiched between our junior pro karts and our 2-strokes. 5 classes here at Teesside Karting. We run Bambino's junior pro karts cadets 2-stroke, which is a mix of any 2-stroke kart anybody wants to race. Today we have a X30, a lot of senior Rotax, a lot of juniors, and at least 1 Minimax of the number 3 of Jay Smith out there on track in the 2-stroke class later on today. So plenty of 2-stroke action for you in the combined class later on, and then we run senior pro karts as well, as you've just seen in the final qualifying session of the season, which saw your champion Connor Lucas snatch pole position in the last few minutes of that session. Bobby Pete finds his way past the number 4 of Oliver Sibbald. They will run almost side by side down the back straight. Pete looks back, slots across onto the racing line for the Bambinos, and Sibbald cuts in behind him, but Pete started behind Sibbald, I think, so Pete certainly has not only track position, but will, if he keeps it in the right direction on this last lap, will take the checkered flag and win heat number 1 for our Bambino class. We'll say last lap on, but I don't think they'll take the checkered flag this time round. It's because Scarlett Dunn, the overall leader, has already taken the checkered flag. I'll say taken the last lap board, sorry, so she'll be the first one to take the checkered flag, and she's well off down the road in the Seoul I-Army kart. As we see Sibbald and Pete closing in on the number 69 of Riley Buckton-Young, so they'll be running as a team of 3 towards the final lap, as we see the 7 of Scarlett Dunn coming through in the Seoul I-Army to take the checkered flag, and the overall Bambino win in our first heat. Number 1, 13 of Lewis Smith, comes through just in time so that Scarlett doesn't put a lap on him, and he'll get another lap to come through to take the checkered flag, so maximising his lap time, and he will be in 5th place overall. So your winner is Scarlett Dunn. We have Rye, Carter and Harrison Dunn have already taken the checkered flag. They will be 6th and 7th. Riley Buckton-Young will be 8th as Haynes comes through, goes up to 2nd on the timing screen and stays there. Oliver Sibbald comes through in 4th, so a superb final lap by Edward Haynes sees him snatch the Bambino Heat 1 win for the Commas. Scarlett Dunn takes the overall win in the Seoul I-Army. Then it's Haynes, Bobby Pete and Oliver Sibbald, Lewis Smith, Edward Rye, Ollie Carter, Riley Buckton-Young and Harrison Dunn. So Pete and Sibbald running together at the end, and then Haynes out there on his own pumps in a monster final lap and takes the win right at the end. So as we see the 66 of Edward Rye come through. And then behind him, the 8 of Harrison Dunn. And then your Heat 1, Bambino winner, the number 44 of Edward Haynes. With the Bambinos running time trial, most of these drivers won't actually know where they've finished until they come off over the weighbridge and their parents let them know where they've come. But there is absolutely no doubt that Scarlett Dunn in the Solai Army was out at the front and is an overall win, followed by the number 44 of Edward Haynes. Harrison Dunn there taking full advantage of the camera position, sticking round and maximising his camera time for himself. 44 of Sybil goes over through the race under the actual, just the number 4. 44 already taken by Edward Haynes. 53, Bobby Pete looked on there for a race victory until the final lap, and Haynes snatching it at the death. In the background we have the first of our full races rather than time trial going in the background. That is Junior Pro Kart, and we'll be with those in a few moments. Welcome back. It's time for our Junior Pro Karts and a maiden pole position for the number 24 of Jack Morris. He will start on the inside of the number 15, Asher Blythe. Row 2 is 14 of Kieran Lambert and the 41 of Mason Barker. Row number 3, Callum Booth and Owen Spears. Then we'll have row number 4. It's certainly got the 71. They come through. Let's have a quick look. It's a 71 of Brandon Jennings on the outside of the 9 of Jake Richardson. Then we have Sandro Ballesteros on Thomas Braid on row 4. Row 5 we'll see the 42 of Jacob O'Connor and your 2019 champion, the number 38 of Aaron Alexander, and the 68 of Ben Hogarth. Everybody lined up and ready to go. Morris puts his hand back, checks all his engines are under control. They are. The green flag is up, head down. Green flag drops and Morris makes a good start and leads into the chicane for the first time with Asher Blythe, as we've got a number of spinners in the background. The 13 of Booth, the 17 of Spears goes round, and they'll drop right to the back end of the field. Turn themselves round and get themselves going, but it's Morris who leads Junior Pro Kart Heat 1 from Asher Blythe. Kieran Lambert is third, Mason Barker fourth. Aaron Alexander is up to fourth already from towards the back of the grid, the 2019 champion. Not taking any time to get himself into his stride and is up into fourth place already. Barker goes right round the outside of the South Bank loop. Loses a number of places in doing so, finds himself well down the field. Will be around about 10th as they come over the line, but Jack Morris has broken free at the head of the pack from Asher Blythe in the number 15. Lambert, Alexander, Jennings, Ballesteros, Richardson, Barker is 8th, O'Connor 9th, Braid is 10th. Then we have Hogarth. We await Booth and Spears, who span together on lap number 1. They're 12th and 13th. Spears with another first lap spin. He did that at least once yesterday. Struggling in the opening heat, so him and Booth towards the back of the field. 5 seconds down now on everybody else. Personal battle between those two. See who can take the spoils as Morris leads the opening lap and has broken a gap of around about half a second on the timing screen, but that's been closed up by Asher Blythe and the 14 of Lambert. They're going to all have to work together because behind them trying to close the gap down. It's a gap of 1.5 seconds, but the number 38 of Aaron Alexander looking to close the gap down from the back of the grid. Did one qualifying lap, peeled off into the pit lane, and then started towards the back of the field. Jack Morris in the 24 leads down the back straight, coming under pressure from Asher Blythe. Driver we saw yesterday on a number of occasions, got himself into some trouble and then had to fight his way back through the field, and did so with incredible talent towards the end of the day. In the final race, overtaking drivers left, right and centre to move himself up, and found himself as well on pole position after qualifying this morning. And your top three are as you were in qualifying and off the grid. All the action off the start happening behind them as Spears and Booth got tangled up. Morris comes under pressure from Blythe. Lambert as well behind now, right onto the back, the three of them. Just popping into view in the background is Alexander, and if these three can just work together and save the battle for the final lap, Alexander's going to struggle without the toe of anybody else to catch up on the back. It's whether the three drivers at the head of the field want to stick it out in a straight line for the next 5 laps and then wait until lap number 8 of 10 to begin their battle. Jennings in 5th, Ballesteros is 6th, finding the dry weather conditions much more to his liking than yesterday's wet weather. Richardson is 7th, Barker 8th, O'Connor 9th, Hogarth 10th, Braid in 11th, Booth 12th, and Spears in 13th. Neither Booth or Spears managing to close down. A disappointing end to the season for Callum Booth, as he was battling for 3rd place in the championship with Jack Morris. Morris now firmly has that one in his grasp. Booth started yesterday with the end of round 7 with performing very, very well. That one dropped off towards the end of the day, unfortunately for him, and then a mishap at the start of this heat as Mason Barker tries to make a move on Jacob O'Connor. O'Connor is through into 9th, Barker down to 10th. Barker finding the going tough in the last couple of rounds, having run much closer towards the front of the field at the start of the season. Often battling Aaron Alexander, and was in with a shout of the championship until yesterday morning, until Alexander got that one secured early on. Morris has broken a little bit of a gap out at the head of the field, as Blythe in 2nd comes under pressure from Kieran Lambert. The gap though has increased back to Aaron Alexander in 4th. These three working together. There's been a change for 5th though. You'll see Sandro Ballesteros, and gets a great run out the last corner. He's going to try and go right round the outside. Is he going to stick it out? He can't do it. Slots back into line behind Alexander. So it's Alexander Ballesteros who made up 1 place on that last lap. Nearly got 2, and the young man in the 19 pulling double shift today. You'll see him in 2-stroke later. Is all over the back of the 38 of Aaron Alexander. Going to try and dive down the inside, but he's going to come under pressure as well from the 17 of Jennings. Alexander goes defensive to the inside. Knows Ballesteros is going to try his luck, and he's going to stick it out round the outside. Is Ballesteros. Is he going to stay there right round the loop? He's going to try it, and then he's going to try and cut to the inside of hairpin 4. He does. Ballesteros slides his way through into 4th place. Jennings as well has gone through the open door. Alexander drops from 4th to 6th in the space of a corner. Sandro Ballesteros kicked the door open, and whilst it was there, Jennings walked straight through it as well. So it's Ballesteros 4th, Jennings 5th, Alexander down to 6th. Out at the front though, Morris leads by almost half a second from Blythe and Lambert. 2.5 laps remaining. Morris just has to keep his head down now to take a maiden victory of the season. Looks like the battle for 2nd is going to be where it's at, although the gap does close a little bit round hairpin number 4. Blythe looks very quick round that corner, and he's closed the gap now. It was 4/10. Fastest lap of the race on a personal level for Asher Blythe, the 49.9. So drivers going faster than what the Senior Pro Kart qualifying did, so that just shows you how much the circuit is drying itself out, although Senior's running on slicks, and looks like most of these are now moved onto slick tyres as well in the Junior Pro Karts, with the options of dries and wets. As we look towards the end of the field, Booth and Spears are still in 12th and 13th after their opening lap excursion. So out of hairpin number 4, the last lap board awaits Jack Morris. That'll be out on the outside of the start straight as he comes over the line. Starts the final lap. 3/10 of the gap. Morris, Blythe and Lambert. They've opened up a gap of almost 7 seconds to Sandro Ballesteros in 4th, who remains there. Jennings in 5th. Alexander in 6th. So slightly disappointing for Alexander. Once he got up to 4th, I thought he was going to make a headway onto this top 3. But the top 3 have worked together, and in all honesty haven't really tried to overtake each other. They know what the job is, and the job is to work together and move out. Then they can battle it out later on in the day. Whilst you get points for the heats, we don't get trophies, and trophies come at final time. And if these 3 are at the front, I would expect them to be there or thereabouts at the end of the day. The checkered flag flies, and for the first time, and a first victory for Jack Morris. He's only just started his owner-driver career, as Jack Morris, having moved from racing in corporate events. And Alexander's dropped further. He's dropped behind Richardson down to 7th. But just going back to your race winner, Morris has only just started in his owner-driver series. This is his first season in any form of owner-driver karting, and he takes a maiden victory here at Teesside Karting at the final round. It's Morris from Blythe and Lambert, Ballesteros, Jennings, Richardson over the line just in front of Alexander, and then O'Connor with a superb 8th. So we will have the same top 3 for race number 2, the grid decided by finishing position. So Morris will be alongside Asher Blythe on the front row, with Kieran Lambert in P number 3. These will peel off into the pit lane, and before long it will be time for our first cadet race of the day, a mixed class of the RPM sealed GX200 engine, providing a level playing field along with fixed gearing here at Teesside. Fixed gearing of a 22th clutch on the front and 68 cog on the back, levelling the playing field for all our drivers. Championship secured yesterday by the number 66 of Oliver Buckton. And then we have our 160 champion Ollie Poole has sourced himself a 200 engine and has found himself qualifying well into the top 10. As you see our drivers coming over, there was in fact a mix of dry and wet weather tyres. See, we have Spears has the slicks on, as does Callum Booth. So we'll see what options our cadet drivers have got. The conditions called open, which gives drivers an opportunity to mix it up a bit and go either with the slicks or with the wet tyres. Yesterday was called wet, and quite rightly so. It was morning conditions were atrocious, but as we see our drivers making their way round the South Bank loop for the first time. Drivers trying to get as much temperature into the tyres, but as we're reminded yesterday, if you spin on the outlap, you make your way to the back of the field, and that's where you start. And that's what happened yesterday with the driver of number 8 there on the second row, Bella Franklin. She spun on her way out of the dummy grid and had to go towards the back of the field. Ended the race though well inside the top 10 with a superb drive through the field. You pulse it to this side though. On the inside is the number 11 of Gracie Mitchell, then the 23 of Charlie Wyatt. Row number 2, the 50, the ever-improving Lizzie Mentier and Bella Franklin alongside. Then we have row 3, champion Oliver Buckton on the inside, the 18 of Max Shields outside of him in 6th place. There is the O plate of Ollie Poole, running a 200 for the first time today, qualifying in 8th. 88, Isabella Stanmore-Wilson, 9th. 10th is Gracie Mitchell. 16, David Mack. 22, Jared Fox-Whiteley. Then we have the 52 of Sebastian Corking and the 81 of Ethan Girling. Much better performance for him than yesterday. Then is the 37 after, which is Jack Thompson, our leading 160. Outside of him, Leon Barlow. As we go through our first cycle of races, which will be five races, then we'll have 5 more for heats number 2. Then we have a 30-minute lunch break. Then we'll be back for heats number 3 and the finals to end the 2019 owner-driver sprint series. Final few drivers joining the back of the grid. 38 on the inside, making his cadet racing debut, is Thomas Potter with the green helmet. Start line marshal. Looks like we might have a problem further down the field. Just getting drivers into the correct position. I think we're just going to get some drivers into the correct position. Move the 44 backwards somewhere, and looks like the 14 of Finlay Fishburne is going to move himself forwards. He certainly qualified in and around the position of the 37. Your pole sitter in the 160 class, which is Jack Thompson. Jack Balding in the 25 runs a 160 for the first time, moves himself forwards into the correct grid position. The pole sitter of Gracie Mitchell has a quick look back, see where everybody is, faces forwards now and gets herself ready. Start line marshal makes his way to the head of the field, green flag in hand. Mitchell on the inside, Wyatt on the outside. The front row will run straight through the national loop. Wyatt has a slow start and Mentia flies through on the inside. Wyatt tries to squeeze Franklin to the inside for third. Franklin backs out and lives to battle round another corner, but Mitchell leads, and Lizzie Mentia from row 2 slides down the inside. Wyatt bogged down, but he doesn't take long to try and dive back to the inside as everybody filters through the chicane for the first time. Bella Franklin, though, great move, takes 2 into 1 corner, 4th to 2nd, and she'll go through. David Mack has made a great start as well, and he'll go to the inside for the South Bank loop. Mentia sticks it out right round the outside and drops back into 4th. So Bella Franklin up into 2nd as Gracie Mitchell makes a break for it out at the front. Wyatt 3rd, Mentia 4th. That's Mack in 5th. Looks like Potter has made a great start from 10th. Will come through in 6th place. So it's Mitchell, Franklin, Wyatt, Mentia, Mack, Potter, Buxton, Stanmore, Wilson, Harrison and Fox-Whiteley. Shields has dropped back from the 3rd row down into 11th. Then we've got Poole in 12th. He started in 8th. Girling, Barlow, McLeod, the leading 160. From Thompson, Balding and Fishburne and Potter. So all your 160 drivers in 15th down to 19th running together. Potter's made up a few places on the opening lap in the number 38. In his debut in competitive racing, he's only ever done time trial before in the Bambino, but having secured that championship, finds himself wanting to test out the cadet car. And as soon as that championship was wrapped up in the final race of yesterday, his dad got in the van and went home, took the Bambino home, dusted the cadet off out of the garage, strapped the 160 to it, and here he is today making his competitive racing debut. As your front 2, the 11 of Mitchell and the 08 kart of Bella Franklin. I was going to say working together, but Franklin dives down the inside, and we have a new race leader. It's the number 8 of Bella Franklin from the 11 of Gracie Mitchell and Charlie Wyatt. Lizzie Mentia into 4th. Potter's gone past Mack for 5th. Charlie Wyatt tries a very, very wide line round the South Bank loop. Will then try and look to dive to the inside, but he's a little bit too far back to get past Gracie Mitchell. We're going to come through 3 laps down of the 10 for for our cadet drivers. Franklin leads, Mitchell, Wyatt, Potter, Mentier, Buckton and Fox Whiteley are up. Stanmore Wilson's dropped a few places. She's down into 10th. Poole in 11th. Thompson continues to lead 160 and 15th from Kian McLeod. Jack Balding in 17th. Running the 160 for the first time this season. Usually runs a 200 and will normally be found inside the top 6. Looks like Franklin has broken the gap as the battle for second, third and fourth between Mitchell, Wyatt and now Potter, who's replaced Mentier into the top 4. Mentier coming under pressure from Buckton. Looks like we've lost David Mack in the meantime. He's dropped well down the field as Potter sets the fastest lap of the race with a 51.015. Her charge up from 10th place. There she is in the background, all over the back of Charlie Wyatt. Looking very racy and trying to find her way past the driver of the number 23. Mentier looks over her shoulder, expects a move from the number 66 of Oliver Buckton. Buckton, the champion of this season, got that one sorted just in time yesterday. That meant his first DNF of the season in the final didn't matter too much. Contact warning for the O plate of Ollie Poole. As we see Potter tries a different line round the outside. Mitchell's given up second place to Wyatt. He's through with a personal best of him. So now Mitchell in the middle of a Wyatt and Potter sandwich. Potter looking as racy as ever, going left and right, trying to find a way past the number 11. Wyatt takes the middle line, doesn't want to go too wide and allow Mitchell to retake second, but as these three continue to battle, out at the head of the field by 1 second now is Bella Franklin. She will very shortly be catching up onto the back of the first of our back markers, and we'll see if she will be able to make her way through. It's the battling pack that may have a problem. They'll come up onto the back of the number 30 of Charlie Benson very shortly. The battle behind them, though, as we catch their Mentier still in 5th. Buckton, Fox Whiteley and Harrison getting onto the back of that pack. Then we've got a bit of a gap back. Harrison there now in the 23, in the 32. The all-black cart with the number 32 on for Harrison. Made his debut here yesterday and finds himself well up the field, getting himself into the mix with the battle for 5th. Charlie Wyatt is still there or thereabouts. I think Gracie Mitchell might have found her way through. She hasn't. It's the different. It's the back marker that they've just got through, and it's opened up a little bit of a gap. Looks like Wyatt has broken free, so the battle for 3rd remains Mitchell and Potter. Potter cuts to the inside, goes side by side as we've got a driver off in the background. It's Buckton, goes grass tracking but keeps it facing in the right direction as Potter goes round the outside of Mitchell and up into 3rd. Buckton stays on track, comes over the line in 8th. Did very well to keep that facing in the right direction as he went across the grass and through a puddle at the same time. I imagine his race suit might need drying off in time for heat number 2. Out in front, though, with 3 remaining is Bella Franklin. Then we've got Wyatt, Potter and Mitchell. Potter made a great effort. She is now up into 2nd place from 10th on the grid, and in front of her now just one more car, and that is the 8th, and it's going to take a lot in 2 laps for her to close down that 1 second gap, but nonetheless a great effort from her to start in 10th and move into the top 2. Fastest lap of the race as well to boot for her. A superb effort. David Mack makes up for his error earlier on, finds himself now up into 8th place in the number 16. So with 2 remaining, it's Franklin, Potter, Wyatt and Mitchell. Mentier, Fox Whiteley's made steady progression up into 6th. Harrison in 7th. Thompson continues to lead 160 from Fishburn and Balding. McLeod has dropped away a little bit and finds himself down in 19th between Reese Penniston in the 47, who started at the back of the grid, makes his first appearance of the weekend. And then we have Thomas Potter as well in the number 38, making his debut. Fox Whiteley has passed Mentier for 5th. Mentier down to 6th. There you see the confirmation of that on your screen, the 22 of Fox Whiteley. Wyatt has broken free of Mitchell, who's dropped to 4th. Potter, though, has closed the gap right down to Franklin in the last lap. Will she make a last lap lunch? Does Franklin even know she's there because she's been out on the track on her own? She certainly knows now as Mitchell goes to the inside. Franklin slams the door shut. One more corner for Mitchell to make it. Will she get a run out of the corner and try and run side by side? I think she's going to settle for 2nd, and a front row start for heat number 2. The checkered flag is out, and Bella Franklin wins heat number 1 for our cadet class, alongside Catherine Potter in 2nd, Charlie Wyatt 3rd, Gracie Mitchell in 4th. Jared Fox Whiteley 5th, Mentier 6th, Harrison 7th, Mack in 8th, Shield 9th, Poole in 10th. Thompson will come through to take a win in 160. There he is, a great effort for him. We'll look back now for Fishburn in the 14. He will be 2nd in that class as Penniston overtakes Watson and then Boulding. Thomas Potter on the last lap gets past Kian McLeod, puts in a competitive overtake in the number 38. There is your race winner. Pretty much had it all to herself until that final lap when a charging Gracie Mitchell came through. Sorry, Catherine Potter came through to put in a last lap charge, and they will start alongside each other on the front row next time out, with Charlie Wyatt and Gracie Mitchell in behind them. Drivers still with their wet tyres on. Most of those will be finding their way onto slicks later on. 2 strokes will be out in a minute for the our only class that start with a rolling start, so they will go out, make their way round, line up 2 by 2, come out through the sweeping bends, take the green flag, and then head straight round the national corner. So as we watch our cadet drivers come over the weighbridge, I'll give you all a moment to catch your breath after that great win by Bella Franklin. We'll be back in a few moments with our 2-stroke class. Welcome back to Teesside Karting, the 2 strokes out on Class D, unmistakable pub of that 2-stroke engine as they go down the back straight. On the front row, the number 33 of Max Prentice, one of our junior drivers, took the outright pole position. He lines up alongside the number 66 of Ryan Elliott on the front row. And row number 2 has Dan Kell and Cals Cole. The drivers going very slowly round hairpin number 4, allowing the tail end of the field to catch up onto the back. And then they will make their way through to take the green flag. And once the green flag flies, our drivers will be racing. The back end of the field, though, is coming through very, very slowly. Power is down, though. The green flag is there, and they're all underway and into turn 1. And it's Ryan Elliott in the 66 with the additional power. and finds himself through. And a great opening lap start by the number 18 of Cals Cole, as the drivers thread their way through, single file through the chicane section. Pole sitter Prentice dropping back into third, coming under pressure now from the 89 of Daniel Kell, who goes to the inside. One of the Louders in behind makes their move as well, but no can do as everybody goes to the inside of the hairpin. Looks like there was a little bit of contact there. Cals Cole's going to come out in second nonetheless. Gets the power down and chases after the number 66, which is our sole X30 of Elliott. So Elliott, Cals Cole, Max Prentice, Andrew Powell in the 79, Daniel Kell in the 89, 44, Andy Ambrose, and then Paul Swan. Ben Ficini, Alfie Lindsay, Jude Cole, and Sandro Ballesteros, Scott Lowther, James Austin, and Steve Kell. That's through to 14, then Zach Bowkers 15th, Jay Smith in the sole Minimax. As we have Lowther off, look like both of those two front wheels were facing in the wrong direction.
Senior Pro Kart.
Your front wheels are both facing in different directions, you're not going very far, very fast. Cole coming under pressure now from Powell, who's got past Prentice. Powell's looking very racy in the black suit and the green helmet. Black from the front, green from the back. Not the easiest of colours for the commentator to spot. Looks different when he's going in both directions. He'll come out there down the back straight. The back camera, it looks green. We'll cut to the other camera in a moment. And it looks like he's got a black helmet on. So get that one changed, please. Please. As Cole goes round hairpin number 3. Prentice is going to try and go right round the outside in the junior Rotax. And he does, gets it right round. And now Cole's going to cut to the inside and try and use the additional power to go round the outside. But ends up going up and over the curb. And that slows his charge. And he has to settle back in. Contact warning for Prentice. The move deemed a little bit too aggressive on the way in as one of our back markers moves out of the way and allows the lead pack to go through the chicanes. It's going to be a frantic battle as Prentice and Powell argue over some tarmac. The 89 of Kell goes down the back straight and it allows Cal Cole to open up a little bit of a gap as our leaders are coming up to catch back markers. We have a spinner on the outside of turn 3. So no yellow flag flying at the time as the drivers came through, and Prentice has got himself past Cole. So Prentice goes through. Cole, we had a spinner on the outside, but took a while for the yellow flag to come out from the marshal's post, as all our drivers are going to have to go right round the outside of Josh Burns. In the background, got himself back out. It's the 29 actually there of Adam Parker. Burns already off the track and into the pit lane. Kell and Powell. Kell has managed to get past at one point. Powell returns the favour. Kell, though, is going to try and stick this one out right round the outside and finds the grip, and he does. Paul Swan in the 52 in his more familiar colours. Yesterday he was out in a very bright yellow oversuit. Made him very, very easy to spot as Elliott comes through with a 45.5 to set the fastest lap of the race in his X30. Prentice in second. Cole remains third. Fourth for Kell, fifth Powell, sixth Swan. He's managed to get past our current champion from 2019, Andy Ambrose, in the number 44. Out onto the back straight. Prentice, superb as always in the juniors. So he leads the junior class from Alfie Lindsay, who is 8th overall. Then Jude Cole and Sandro Ballesteros as Dan Kell spins at hairpin 3. His battle with Andrew Powell is over for at least the first heat. Rejoins in 7th place behind Andy Ambrose. Those two with their season-long battle for the championship. Through, we have Ballesteros running 4th in the junior class. And there he is, followed by the 23 of James Austin. Ballesteros chasing down the number 77 of double race winner yesterday, Jude Cole. Cole takes the middle line, not wanting to go all the way out and open up that door for the cutback. Austin, with the power of the senior kart, goes down the inside. Thought he was going to try and get Cole as well. Ballesteros, though, is going to slide right round the outside. Austin does go through, and that's going to open up an opportunity for Ballesteros on Cole. Can't take full advantage of it, though. Slots back in, and we have 3 laps remaining of the 10. Austin there, confirmation that he's moved up 2 places on that lap from 11th to 9th. Now sets off in pursuit of Alfie Lindsay, but he's 4 seconds down the road. There he is going through in the yellow helmet as Ballesteros continues to battle with Cole. Ballesteros sliding that kart round, and arguably his driving style, which you saw earlier, suits the 2-stroke kart a little more with his slidey driving style than what it does to his junior pro kart, but nonetheless he's no slouch in that either. Lindsay in the 86 come through, currently sits 2nd in juniors, 8th overall on track. So we see Paul Swan going very, very wide round the outside. Dan Keller's got past him, so Swan drops down to 7th. Kell is up to 6th already and is right on the back of the number 44 of Andy Ambrose. Goes for a late lunge down there as we have a spin on the outside. Stephen Kell in the 90. Admittedly, likes a spin, does the number 90 of Steve Kell. So Dan Kell goes past, as does Swan, and Kell up to 6th, Swan down to 7th. The last lap board is out for our leader. There he is, the number 66 of Ryan Elliott, being kept honest by Max Prentice in the 33, our leading junior, then Andrew Powell in the 79. Round the South Bank loop for the first time. There he is into hairpin number 3. 1 more corner to negotiate, and then the sweeping bends to take the checkered flag. To go with his clean sweep yesterday, he adds another heat victory to his tally. It's Ryan Elliott over the line in the 66 to take the victory. A fastest lap of the race and 2nd place for Max Prentice. Powell through, and on the last lap, Cole has got past Ambrose for 5th. So we have the full result of Ryan Elliott and Max Prentice, Andrew Powell and Cals Cole from Dan Kell, and Andy Ambrose, Paul Swan, Alfie Lindsay. We await James Austin through in 9th, and Sandro Ballesteros rounds out the top 10. So a class podium in his first outing for Sandro Ballesteros in the number 19 Junior Rotax. There's your top 2 going around at the bottom corner. Another superb race. Controlled out at the front by Ryan Elliott, but he didn't have it quite as much of his own way as he did yesterday. He was often 5 or 6 seconds down the road yesterday in drying conditions. The lighter junior kart of Prentice has managed to find a few seconds, and he's managed to keep Ryan Elliott honest. So we are almost done with our first round of races, just 1 more, which will be our senior pro kart drivers. And then we'll have 1 more full round of races before we take our half-an-hour lunch break. And we'll be back for heats number 3 and our finals to bring a close to the 2019 summer season here at Teesside Karting. And thankfully, we are ending the season with a little bit of sunshine. Might not be the warmest day that we've had all year, but compared to the rain that we had at round 7 and at the start of round number 8, it is a welcome addition to the championship here at Teesside Karting. Nonetheless, once the summer season is over, we have a very, very short break before our winter season starts. That will start on the 8th of December at Warden Law at Karting North East, before returning to Teesside for the 2nd of 3 winter rounds on the 29th of December for the O-Plate meeting. We will then end the winter season on the 29th of January with a trip to Lincolnshire to visit the PFI circuit. That will bring an end to the winter series before we move into the 2020 season here at Teesside Karting. Final few drivers, William Young going over there over the weighbridge. The weighbridge camera giving all of our drivers an opportunity to show off their colourful liveries, and some of them like to, some of our younger drivers at the very least like to give us some thumbs up or a dab as they go over the weighbridge. It also lets us know in the background, you can see our senior our senior Pro Kart drivers going out onto the circuit for their first race of the day, and on pole position will be the number 43 and the 2019 champion Connor Lucas. Bagged the championship trophy at the end of round 7 yesterday. And then we have Josh Folkus on the outside of him in the O-plate there, slamming the brakes on, getting some heat into those tyres and treating us to some tyre smoke at the same time. So that will be a front row of Lucas on the inside, Folkus to the outside. And it will be Jake Brooker, yesterday's final winner, will be in 3rd place, lining up behind Connor Lucas. The drivers will head through the chicane for the first time, so we'll see 22 drivers thread the eye of a needle as they go through the chicane. Often the place where all the action happens. Row 2 is Jake Brooker and Ben Fallon in the 113. Row 3 has Paul White on with a superb qualifying session for him, alongside the 64 of Rob Lowe. And we have Connor White and Sam Harris, 52 and 53 in 7th and 8th respectively. Rolling on there into row number 4. Then we have Nigel Richardson, superb qualifying for him, our highest 40s driver, in 9th alongside Martin Black. Steve Nicol lines up another 40s driver directly behind Nigel Richardson alongside Danielle Gardner. 31 is Scott Tate. He lines up alongside Tom Lowther in the 186. Then we have Ross Jackman and Emma Brown alongside each other on the next row. 44 is Adam Wood and number 80 David Brewis. Mark Tate, a disappointing qualifying for him in the 81, lines up towards the back of the field alongside Simon Doughty. Alban Dowell and Josh Eden round out a 22 kart grid for our senior Pro Kart drivers. Startline Marshall making his way once again to the front of the grid. Windy conditions here, even though the sun is out. As you see, the flag is flapping around in his hand. Front row, it's Lucas on the inside, Folkus on the outside. Folkus gets a good start and he lines up, goes side by side. Has to back out though, and it looks like Jake Brooker might have come through from the 2nd row. He does. Folkus drops all the way back from 2nd to 4th as they go round the national loop for the first time and through the chicanes, bouncing their way over the curb. Lucas makes his way round round 2. Looks like Folkus has made quite a bold move to the inside of Lowe, forces Lowe out wide and up and over the curbs. The top 2 though have made a break for it. They have broken away, and there's a gap back now with Folkus having made that move on Lowe. Brooker, will he make an early move on Connor Lucas? Connor Lucas always quite formidable in these opening couple of laps, so if Brooker can stay with him for laps 1 and 2, and if Folkus can tag on to the back, we might have an enthralling battle for the lead. Brooker with the fastest opening lap, so as they'll come through for the first of 10 laps. It's Lucas from Brooker, Folkus and Lowe. Fallon, White, Harris, Connor White, Nigel Richardson, Danielle Gardner, Steve Nicol and Scott Tate. We've got David Brewis, Ross Jackman and Tom Lowther, that's 15. Adam Wood, Mark Tate, Simon Doughty, Emma Brown and Alban Dowell. We're also missing Mark Tate and Josh Yeadon. That's 22 drivers, as Martin Black is back there as well in the number 13. Well out of place for him, so trouble on the opening lap for the number 13. Your leaders come through, and it is still Connor Lucas from Jake Brooker and Josh Folkus, and they've broken the toe of the number 64 of Rob Lowe. He's going to be left to battle out for 4th with Ben Fallon as our lead trio. Go into hairpin number 1, and all over the back of the leader Lucas is Josh Brooker. confident young gentleman, certainly helped as well yesterday by his overall final win. Drove off into the distance to take the checkered flag, and he's going to go down the inside of Connor Lucas, and we've got a change for the lead. Brooker down the inside of Lucas. Lucas now going to come under pressure by Josh Folkers, and Jake Brooker in the 1-1-1 leads as they come over the line at the end of lap number 3. Lowe in 4th, Fallon 5th, Harris 6th, White in 7th, Connor White in 8th, Nigel Richardson 9th in the lead 1 in our lead 40s class. Brooker out onto the back straight, the top 3 running nose to tail as they run into the South Bank corner. Brooker goes a lot wider than Lucas. Lucas is going to dive to the inside. Late move from him. Brooker's going to have to stick it out. Brooker's going to be a lot tighter, and it's going to compromise his exit. Lucas is going to go side by side. Looks like Lucas has got a much better run. He's going to force Brooker onto the curb on the inside. Hold your breath. It's Lucas who's got himself into the lead again. Brooker slots himself back into 2nd place. As these 3 continue to battle, it's going to play into the hands of Lowe in 4th. He's going to see if he can get himself into the mix as well. Folkers in 3rd. There's a slight gap back. He's looking at these 2, and if they make either of them make a mistake, he'll be there to pounce. Lucas knows that something's coming and sticks to the inside. Sensible driving by our championship winner in the number 43. Not giving Brooker an opportunity. And that's something that Brooker did very, very well yesterday in the opening couple of laps of the final. Coming out of hairpin number 4, he almost stopped the kart mid-corner to stop the driver cutting back down the inside. No, that was David Brown in the number 55. He's not with us today, but did superb yesterday. Brooker did well to hold him back for the first couple of laps, and then headed off into the distance to take a maiden victory, as we see Scott Tate and Danielle Gardner battling with Ross Jackman just inside the top 10. Gardner making his way through, up from 10th into 9th. Jackman is 11th. He's come through from around about 16th or 17th on the grid, and behind them they've got Steve Nicol in 12th. He's dropped away a little bit from his qualifying position. Lowe and Fallon continue to battle over 4th place. Fallon a lot closer than what he has been in the last couple of laps, certainly, and he'll continue to battle. Ben Fallon, a multiple race winner in the Pro Kart class, battles with the number 64 of Rob Lowe. Out onto the back straight, the front 3 off into the distance remain as they were, with Lucas, Brooker and Folkers. Lucas again taking that much tighter line than he would if he was out on the track on his own, or certainly not a qualifying line. He cuts to the inside. Doesn't want to give Brooker a sniff of an opportunity. He's done that once already today at that corner, and Brooker said thank you very much and made his way through. So we have 3 laps remaining. It's Lucas, Brooker, Folkers, Fallon has finally got past Lowe after a couple of laps of trying. There he is. Lowe, though, all over the back of Fallon. Doesn't want to be in 5th for very long if he can do anything about it. In the background, though, Sam Harris closing in 6th place. Then we've got a gap back to the 4-1-1 of Paul White, Scott Tate, Nigel Richardson, Ross Jackman and Danielle Gardner. Like we are, at some point we have lost Connor White. He needs all the points he can get if he wants to battle for the crown in our clubman class, but the timing screen suggests that he is off and into the pits with a problem, so no points for Connor Lucas, or at the very least it'll be points for 22nd place, which will give him 29 points in his quest for clubman honours. Danielle Gardner in 11th at the moment will pick up 40 points. So a great boost for her in her quest for clubman honours in that championship. Clubman drivers will, if you win the championship, you will move up to race in Pro next season. So certainly a lot of stake in that one as our lead pack come up to catch some of our back markers. They've made their way past the 4 of Josh Eden. The next one to get past will be the number 80 of David Brewis. There he is in the black cart with the flashes of a luminous yellow, and he moves. As he moves out of the way, he will need to in a moment as our leader, the number 43 of Connor Lucas, on his final lap of the Teesside National Circuit. Makes his way down the back straight. Is he going to try and find our way past? He's going to go to the inside, and yes he does, as Brewis slides wide. Brooker goes through as well, but Focus has to wait, and that's going to ruin any opportunity. So it looks like your top 3, they're going to come through. Lucas has a quick look back to confirm where he stands, but it's at the front of the field. Connor Lucas takes the checkered flag and wins heat number 1 from Jake Brooker and Josh Focus. Ben Fallon comes through to finish in 4th with his race-long battle with Rob Lowe. 6th is Sam Harris, Paul White, Scott Tate and Nigel Richardson. Ross Jackman, Danielle Gardner does in fact finish in the 11th, just in front of Steve Nichols, and she will pick up 40 points for her quest for clubman honours. And her nearest championship challenger, Connor White, unfortunately suffering a retirement in that race, and he will start at the back of the grid next time out in the number 52. That brings a close to the first round of races here at Teesside Karting. Bambinos will be back up in a few moments for the start of the second heat. And once we're through all of those, we will have a half-an-hour lunch break. So once we know what time we're going to be back on the air for heat number 3 and the finals, we will keep you fully up to date with those. Please do, as always, get in touch with us via YouTube and via the Teesside Karting Facebook page, where we are streaming live as always. We look forward to hearing from you on there. Check throughout the day as to what is happening with you guys on the live stream. Bambino's out already in the background. They'll make their way round to the dummy grid. Just having a look on the YouTube live stream. We've got support coming in for Mason Barker from his brother Jensen. Jensen, you saw him out earlier in the season in the senior Pro Kart class, though we've not seen him beyond the first couple of rounds. Mason still making an appearance in the class for our junior Pro Karts, and we'll see those out just at the end of after our Bambinos have come in. First one of those making their way round will be our pole sitter, the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn, the Soul Eye Army, and then she will be followed by the number 44 of Edward Haynes, who snatched the victory in heat number 1 right at the end of the session. It looked like the 53 of Bobby Pete was going to be the one to beat in that class. And then just right on the end at the last lap, it was the number 44 of Edward Haynes taking the honours. This is the last of our young drivers coming through. Last one is newcomer, the number 8 of Harrison Dunn. Parents lifting up the back end of the Comet Bambinos, giving the drivers the opportunity to plant the throttle. It warms up the Comet C50 engine and gets it ready for action. And no sooner are all the parents off the dummy grid, our first of our drivers, the number 7 Scarlett Dunn, is on her way. 8 minutes of Bambino action, and the Soul Eye Army is off on this continually drying circuit, almost all dry now. We'll be seeing a lot more of our Cadet and junior Pro Kart drivers opting for slicks over wets for heat number 2. So we see Dunn going out of hairpin number 2, using all of the track and a little bit more as she clips the curb on the outside of hairpin number 2, bounces across the little bit of concrete that's there. She is now on her way. So the display showing 10 laps, but it's actually going to be 8 minutes for our Bambino class. As always here at Teesside, at the moment it's a time trial format. I believe there's some consideration to move towards a race format at some point in the future, but for the time being it's a time trial format. Drivers will go off at the beginning of the session. They are sent on their way. As we see the number 44 of Edward Haynes go through round the outside of hairpin number 1, which is a favoured line for him round there, and he takes a similar line round hairpin number 2. So as we see the 44 of Haynes going down the back straight, I have the pleasure to have the company of Kat Franklin, who is the, I don't know whether to call you the race director or owner, or what do you prefer to be called? Clerk of the course generally. So Kat puts together the whole race meeting here at Teesside, puts the season together, and then makes sure the running of it goes as smoothly as possible throughout the race day. As we come to the end of our 2019 season, you must be pleased with how things have gone with the introduction of 3 new classes and how they've continued to grow throughout the season.
Junior Pro Kart to the dummy grid, please. That's Junior Pro Kart to the dummy grid now, please.
So we, as we come to the end of our summer season, you've put together quite a winter series, which sees us move away from Teesside for a few rounds, and we go north for the first one, and then a lot further south for the second one. So how did that come about to start with, and would you like to tell everybody where we're going? So non-stop in the job of a circuit owner and a clerk of the course to get everything. So no time for a holiday then, for sure. Not the standard holiday destination, but nice nonetheless. Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us for a few moments, Kat. Greatly appreciated, and thank you very much for putting on such a wonderful series here at Teesside Karting. Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed every moment of it, and as we rejoin the action with 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining of Bambino heat number 2. As expected, it is the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn out at the head of the field in the sole Iami Bambino. Behind her, Bobby Pete in the number 53 leads Comer once again, but he's going to try and have to hold on towards the end of the session, as once again it could be Edward Haynes is up into third. Overall, second in our class. Then we've got Oliver Sibbald and Lewis Smith progressing up the field in the number 13. Edward Rye, the 66, and Riley Buckton-Young, as we see the 13 of Smith. He's going to try and go right round the outside of the number 8 of Harrison Dunn. Then we have number 88 of Ollie Carter, who's finding the weather conditions much more to his liking. He's also a driver that's quite new to the Bambino class and gives drivers a fantastic opportunity to get into racing. Certainly here at Teesside, it's a wide circuit, gives drivers the opportunity to learn in the safest possible environment, as the faster drivers can quite easily make their way through without any problem at all. We see the number 66 of Dunn, the 66 of Rye going round the outside of Dunn, using the full width of the Teesside Autodrome circuit. Puts through the circuit on there. We have 1 minute and 5 remaining. Dunn leads overall. There she is coming into shot in the background. You see the additional power and speed that the Iami car has, pulls a few kart lengths on Riley Buckton-Young, and they also run on different tyres. It looks like she does have grooved ones on there at the moment, but you can run a more slick tyre with the Iami Bambinos. The last lap board is out for her as she goes round the outside of Brother Harrison in the number 8 and onto the back straight. So the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn leads Iami Bambino, and the 69 of Riley Buckton-Young goes side by side down the back straight with the number 8 of Harrison Dunn. Looks out quick left, make sure everything is clear, and goes round the South Bank loop. Ollie Carter in the background as well, goes right round the outside of hairpin number 3. There he is, picking him up as well. The checkered flag though is out, and our race winner comes through, the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn in the Iami. We now await our Comer Bambinos to come through. Haynes has got past Bobby Pete in terms of overall time, and he will come through. He'll be the first one through to take the checkered flag. Pete is in the background, so Haynes is through. We wait to see if Pete can improve and move up into second overall and take the class win. He can't. Oliver Sibbald now, the only other driver that could maybe put a dent into Haynes' lead. And he comes through to take the checkered flag. So Comer Bambino is won by the number 44 of Edward Haynes from Bobby Pete and Oliver Sibbald. Lewis Smith remains in 4th in that class. He's coming through and over the line now. There he is, and he'll be followed very shortly by Edward Rye, then Riley Buckton-Young, Ollie Carter and Harrison Dunn have already seen the checkered flag. So another superb win in both of our two classes there for the number 7 of Scarlett Dunn and the 88 of Edward Haynes. Ever improving, and the driver of the number 44 certainly has to be one of the favourites for the championship should he return here to Teesside next season. He's ended the season in fine form. From round 5 onwards, he's really found his feet in his Comer Bambino. You see the 69 of Riley Buckton-Young making his way over the weighbridge. That is the 88 of Ollie Carter, who made his debut here in round 7, which was rain affected. We started that in September. Finished it at the end of October at the start of round number 8 yesterday morning. It was an early start for parents, drivers, production team and commentator alike, as we made a start at 8:15 yesterday morning with the rerun of two-stroke heat number 2 before going into heat number 3 for Bambino, and the finals before starting round number 8 later on in the morning. In the background, Junior Pro Kart are out And they will come through in a few moments to grid up for heat number 2. Welcome back. It's time for our junior Pro Kart class. Pole sitter will be the number 24 of Jack Morris. Behind him on row number 2 is the 14 of Kieran Lambert. Morris taking a maiden victory last time out. The front row will be Jack Morris on pole position. And moving through alongside him will be the number 44 of Kieran Lambert, the 15 of Asher Blythe, who should have started second, spun on the outlap and will reform up at the back of the grid. So your front row sitter of Asher Blythe will move to the back of the grid. He spun on the outside of hairpin number 1 on the warm-up lap. And all of our drivers will move forward the front row. The format's been changed. The number of drivers. You spin on the outlap, then you move much further back. And the 15 of Asher Blythe, head in his hands, is very, very disappointed with himself, and he's going to end up forming up at the back of the grid. Compose yourself, young man, you're going to need it. There's 10 laps of racing ahead of you, and you're going to have to come through now from the back of the grid. Confusion for a number of drivers with that change, but it certainly has been. Your front row sitter is going to have to move further back. We're going to have to... the 14 of Lambert was third. It looks like now he might have to go to second. Are we going to reform everybody, or are we going to send everybody around again and have another attempt at forming them up? But there's certainly confusion at the front. The 14 of Lambert was third. I would expect to see him on the front row alongside the 24 of Jack Morris now. Confusion with getting everybody into position, but it's a chain effect of the number 15 of Asher Blythe spinning on the opening lap. Everybody else is going to have to swap sides. Ballesteros is going to come to the outside in P4. Luckily these carts are light enough to pick them up, and everybody can just get dropped into the right position. We don't have to send everybody round for another attempt at gridding up. So we have a revised front row with Jack Morris on the inside and Kieran Lambert on the outside. 71 on the inside of row number 2 is Brandon Jennings. He lines up alongside the 19 of Sandro Ballesteros. All the way there, though, at the back of the grid in the red, orange and yellow cart is Asher Blythe. Disappointment for the young man, but he's got 10 laps to compose himself. We are underway and racing. It's Jack Morris. Hogarth's made a great start. Jennings, sorry, he's made a great start from row number 2, and he could find himself in second place. Has to back out and let Lambert through. Runs wide in the meantime, and Alexander slides through, followed by Barker. Barker up to 4. Jake Richardson has taken a huge amount of curb, and in turn it's forced Callum Booth wide over the grass, and he gets himself back on. Tough day again for the 13 of Booth. Quick look back from Alexander in third to Barker. A little tap of the helmet suggesting he wants to work with him to try and hunt down the front 2 of Morris and Lambert. Alexander third, Barker 4. Richardson is up to 5th. Jennings has dropped away from his front row berth and is well down the pack now. Disappointing start for him. He is right at the back of the field. from his front row star. Asher Blythe already up to 7th, channeling the disappointment of having to start from the back, and he's going to slide down the inside of the number 12 of Thomas Braid up into 6th place. There he is, pops out in front of Braid into 6th. Braid in the 12, down to 8th. Ballesteros, disappointing start for him from 4th place down into 9th. The front two, though, have broken away as Mason Barker's going to try and attack Aaron Alexander. Those two need to work together to try and close the gap. Looks like with Richardson behind, Blythe is 6th, trying to close down the gap. Braid remains in 7th. Booth, having dropped to the back of the field with an excursion off across the grass on the opening lap, finds himself up into 10th place. Barker all over the back of Aaron Alexander. Alexander goes wide and jacks the kart right, just in enough time to close the door on Barker. Barker head down on the back straight, behind the steering wheel, trying to stop the air hitting his helmet and to get a little bit more speed. These two have spent most of the season battling it out at the front of the pack, currently arguing over 3rd place. Barker goes to the inside, he's now alongside, but he's going to have to go right round the outside. Decides against it and ducks in behind the 38 of Alexander early enough to take the chicane without compromising either of them's lap time, but he's right onto the back of that number 38 kart. As they go, Alexander wide again on the entry to hairpin 2. I'm sure at some point Barker's just going to stick the nose down the inside there and hope that Alexander sees it. If not, there might be contact between those two as they take differing lines, but it's allowed the front two once again to break away at the head of the pack. Morris has got much more of a cushion to Lambert than what he did last time. Blythe will come through again in 6th. His charge up the field, currently halted at 6th place behind Jake Richardson. So it's Morris, Lambert, Alexander, Barker, Richardson, Blythe, Braid, Spears, Ballesteros and Booth, the top 10. Front row starting, second row starting Jennings has dropped down to 11th, O'Connor 12th, Hogarth in 13th. Goes out onto the back straight. Booth all over the back of, looks to be Jennings. So Jennings has got past Booth, and now Booth is trying to get back past Jennings. Goes to the inside. Jennings chops across the front of the number 13 machine and holds on to 10th place. Barker has got past Alexander. You can see it there on the timing screen. Barker goes green, Alexander red. So that tells you that the driver has made up a place at the expense of the other driver. So the battle for 3rd allows Morris and Lambert some cushion away at the head of the field. 1.5 seconds between each of those as Aaron Alexander goes to the inside, and then Barker's going to try and cut back on the inside of the loop round South Bank. Alexander on the brakes early, chucking the kart sideways. Barker goes up and over the dog-tooth curbs on the inside of the circuit. As they come through the sweeping bends and over the start line, we are beyond half race distance, and it's Morris comfortably out at the front from Lambert and Alexander. Barker, Richardson and Blythe, Braid, Spears, Ballesteros, Jennings, Booth, O'Connor and Hogarth. Asher Blythe alongside Richardson. Richardson runs him quite wide towards the edge of the circuit and holds on to 5th place. Looks like we're going to have 2 separate battles now, one for 3rd and one for 5th, as this battle sorts itself out. Richardson invites Blythe to overtake him, and Blythe does. Blythe then hands the invite back and allows Richardson back into 5th place. Going to try and run right round the outside. Barker and Alexander do. Alexander forced to go up and over the curb as Mason Barker retakes 3rd place. Alexander in 4th. Richardson holds on to 5th, but Asher Blythe is going to try a different line and see if he can get past the number 9 of Jake Richardson. At the head of the field, though, it's Jack Morris with a very, very comfortable lead. So comfortable that we haven't seen him for most of the race as this battle goes on. There we go, as per requested. There is your race leader coming through our static camera at the start-finish line. Then we'll have our battles for 2nd and for 3rd and 5th as they come through. Mason Barker's broken away from Aaron Alexander. Alexander looks now to be dropping back into the clutches of the number 9 of Jake Richardson as Richardson goes to the inside, can't make his way through. Now 1.5 laps remaining for these drivers to make moves. Hogarth has moved up from 13th to 12th. Braid in the 12 running on his own, but then we have a battle for 8th with Spears at the head of that one. Jennings, Ballesteros and Booth. Ballesteros goes to the inside of Jennings, has to back out and go up and over the curves as the leaders have taken the last lap board, and the battle for 8th continues. Ballesteros in the middle of that one in the bright green cart, coming under pressure from the 13 of Callum Booth. Booth to the inside. You don't often see an overtaking move there, but Ballesteros left half a cart's gap and Booth threw it down there, getting the wheel up and into the grass. Alexander, though, is through and into 3rd, down the back straight and into the South Bank loop. Looks like Jake Richardson is all over the back as well there. Barker's going to try and slide down the inside. Defensive line by Alexander. Asher Blythe makes a late dive to the inside, and it looks like he's going to try and pick up 2 places. He's got 1 already. The leader's through. It's Jack Morris with a 2nd heat win of the day. Kieran Lambert from Aaron Alexander. Mason Barker in 4th. Asher Blythe 5th. Jake Richardson in 6th. Thomas Braid a lonely 7th. From Brandon Jennings, Sandro Ballesteros, Callum Booth and Owen Spears, dropping from 8th to 11th and coming over the line a couple of seconds back, suggesting he's had some sort of problem on the final lap of 10 here at Teesside Karting. Hogarth takes the last position of our runners with 12 of 12, with Jacob O'Connor pitting with 2 laps remaining for unfortunate retirement for the driver of the number 42. So Asher Blythe from the back of the grid manages to get all the way up to 5th place, and that's where he'll start next time out. So our 2-stroke drivers, our junior Pro Kart drivers come round and off the circuit. There is your race winner, the number 24 of Jack Morris, in formidable form today, followed by the 14 of Kieran Lambert. There is Aaron Alexander, your championship winner, in the number 38. He will go off from P number 3 next time. We now have our cadets will be out very, very shortly. Then we have 2 strokes and senior Pro Kart, and then we'll have our lunch break, so you can grab yourself a sandwich and something to eat, and then we'll be back for our Heat 3, and then we'll have our finals. In the background, the cadets are out and they will make their way round to the dummy grid. Hopefully all of those will stay facing in the right direction as they make their way round. We'll be able to group them up as expected. On pole position will be your Heat 1 winner, Bella Franklin, in the number 8, alongside her the fast-charging Catherine Potter in the number 20, who started the day in 10th position and worked her way all the way up to a front row start for heat number 2 by finishing in 2nd place. Row number 3 will be row number 2 will be Charlie Wyatt and Gracie Mitchell, and we'll have Jared Fox-Whiteley and Lizzie Mentier. So as your pole sitter comes through in the number 8, that's Bella Franklin alongside Catherine Potter, Charlie Wyatt and Gracie Mitchell. Over the 22 of Fox Whiteley will line up alongside the 50 of Lizzie Mentier. Then we've got the 32, that's Josh Harrison, he lines up alongside David Meek. Max Shields and Ollie Poole are alongside each other on row number 5. Then we have Leon Barlow in the 42 and Ethan Gerling on row 6. Row 7 sees the first of our 160 drivers. The number 37 of Jack Thompson lines up alongside Oliver Buckton in the number 66. So your series champion starts in the middle of the pack and will look to work his way through. 47 is Penniston. He moves to the inside of 14 of Finley Fishburn. Penniston starting heat number 1 from the back of the grid and working his way through. See our final few drivers coming through. See the number 30 joins on, that's Charlie Benson. And right at the back, the number 88 of Isabella Stanmore-Wilson in her 200. So we'll see if she can charge through the field. She's running well into the top 10 in the middle of heat number 1. As always, the start line marshal, green flag in hand, will make his way to the head of the field. Pole sitter Franklin looks back in anticipation. Turns, green flag in hand. The green is up, the green is down. We're racing in Cadet Heat 2. Mitchell cuts to the inside, but Mack with a superb start will try and go right round the outside from 8th place. Slots into 3rd, a fantastic start for him. Right round the outside of Wyatt. So Wyatt drops to 4th from the 2nd row. Everybody makes their way through the chicane. Yellow flag is out in the background. We've got a number of spinners, but it's Bella Franklin and Catherine Potter broken away at the start. Mack chops across the front of Fox Whiteley in the 22 as they go round the South Bank loop for the first time. Franklin leads from Potter. We've got Ethan Gerling in the wall on the outside of hairpin number 1, and he's out of the car and into retirement for the driver of the number 81. So for the first time they'll come through and over the line. It will be Bella Franklin from Catherine Potter, Charlie Wyatt and Lizzie Mentier, David Mack, Gracie Mitchell, Jared Fox Whiteley, Ollie Poole, Leon Barlow and Ollie Buckton. Jack Thompson leads 160 in 11th. His nearest challenger is Finley Fishburn in 14th overall. Then we have Kian McLeod in 15th and Jack Boulding in 17th as David Mack comes under pressure from Gracie Mitchell. She looked to go to the inside. Not enough momentum on the way out. Has to duck back in, and they'll go single file round South Bank before they all spread out into different line. Mack's going to go right round the outside of Mitchell. Mitchell looked to go to the inside as Charlie Wyatt puts Catherine Potter under pressure. Potter's going to get a good run and go side by side with Bella Franklin. Thought Charlie Wyatt was going to put his cart to the inside there, but he doesn't. Maturely waits for another opportunity. It would have been quite tough for him to get right round the inside there, with Potter having such a run on Franklin at the same time. We are 2 laps down of our 10-lap heat number 2. As everybody tries to sort themselves out. Fox Whiteley and Mack battling it out. Mack has dropped behind Mitchell, and Mitchell is well on her way to attacking Mentier for 4th. Mitchell's going to have to look back. It's Fox Whiteley and Poole in behind him. This is a move by Buckton in the background on Barlow. So that's Buckton up to 9th, Barlow down to 10th as your leaders come through. Potter gets another good run out of the chicane section, but not enough to get alongside the number 8 of Bella Franklin. Confirmation on the screen there that we've had a change in 9th for Buckton moving up. Harrison's moved up, but they expect of Penniston as well. So Thompson continues to lead 160, and he's got a number of drivers in between him and his nearest challenger for the 160 crown, as McLeod is in 15th, Fishburn in 16th, Boulding in 18th. Stanmore-Wilson, who started at the back in 22nd, is up to 17th as the leaders battle it out round the final complex of corners. Another great run by Mitchell. She's got a much better drive this time, and she will go alongside Franklin. Ducks back in though well before the chicane, and we've certainly got 7 drivers with Fox Whiteley at the back of that. I think Ollie Pool's going to get himself involved very shortly. There he is in the O plate. So very, very shortly we're going to have a battle of 10 drivers for the lead position as the front row of Franklin and Potter continue to battle it out as Charlie Wyatt runs Gracie Mitchell to the inside of the circuit as they aim into the South Bank loop, defending that 3rd place with Venom. Franklin though continues to lead. Potter's going to try that line that's given her a good run out of this corner a number of times, but Franklin's anticipated it and blocked off the line to the inside, so nobody to get alongside. Mitchell looking racy in behind Wyatt, but everybody is as you were as we reach half race distance. Franklin, Potter, Wyatt, Mitchell, Mentier, Mack and Fox Whiteley battle it out for the lead. Then the battle for 8th is just behind with Poole, Buckton and Barlow completing the top 10, and then there's a big gap back then to 11th, which is Harrison. So Bella Franklin goes round the South Bank loop, keeps a tight line, doesn't want to open up the opportunity. Potter into 2nd. Looked like Mitchell had opened the door for Mentier there. Mitchell's got alongside Charlie Wyatt, and she's got a great run. She's going to go round the outside. Is she going to stick it out into the chicane? No. Wyatt keeps his foot in and will stay in 3rd place. Fastest lap of the race by the number 22 in 7th, Jared Fox Whiteley. He is on the back of this lead pack. And there's a tiny gap back to the battle for 8th with Ollie Poole at the head of that in making his 200 Extreme debut. Usually running with a 160, and he's battling with Oliver Buckton and the 42 of Leon Barlow. So they make their way into the South Bank, around South Bank and into the hairpin complex. They will soon be coming up to the first of our back markers, the number 38 of Thomas Potter, making his 160 debut here, having secured the Bambino Championship yesterday. Makes an early step up into the cadet class, which was always the plan for the Winter Series. But having secured that championship, moves up and gets himself some vital track time in the cadet. So this lead pack will catch him very shortly as Gracie Mitchell dives past Charlie Wyatt and into 3rd place. Don't think Wyatt saw that come in, and Mitchell just slid it down the inside and into the top 3. So it's Franklin, Potter, Mitchell and then Wyatt. Mack has got himself well up there now. Mitchell's going to go to the inside of Potter. That's going to allow Charlie Wyatt in as well. There's a little bit of contact on the way out. They've sorted themselves out into single file. Charlie Wyatt's going to go to the inside, up and over the curb. Bounces it over, but ends the day facing the right way, and we are 2 laps remaining in cadet race number 2. Bella Franklin has currently led from start to finish. Wyatt to the inside of Mitchell. Mitchell though will have track position unless Wyatt can go to the inside. He does, and they'll go side by side down the back straight. Well, they know Wyatt ducks in to the background, and that's the top 4 have broken away. David Mack, though, is up to 5th. Fox Whiteley 6th. Mentier 7th. Poole in 8th. Buckton 9th. Barlow in 10th. So World Cup drivers will come through the final 2 sweeping corners. The last lap board will be out on the outside of the circuit by the start line marshal. Fastest lap of the race once again by Jared Fox Whiteley. First driver to drop into the 49s today with a 49.947. There he is in the background, the number 22, currently in 6th place. So we have Charlie Wyatt goes to the inside, nothing he can do, but Gracie Mitchell's got a good run, and she's going to look to go to the inside of Catherine Potter. Ducks back into the slipstream, see if she can make another dive to the inside, but she can't. There she goes to the inside. Final. There's going to be contact. Is there? No. Potter's given her just about enough room. She's going to have to go defensive though, and there is contact in the end. Potter's come out and it's hampered Mitchell. Wyatt's got himself alongside and into third place, but to take the checkered for the second time today will be Bella Franklin. It's Franklin from Potter. Wyatt with a fortuitous third as Mitchell got herself hooked up with Potter and dropped back into fourth place. Matt gets fifth, Fox Whiteley sixth, Mentier seventh. Buckton finally wins the race-long battle between him, Barlow and Poole. Harrison gets 11th, Corking in 12th, Penniston 13th, Stanmore Wilson into 14th. Thompson wins 160 as Mitchell and Wyatt have a fist bump down the back straight. So Thompson wins 160 from Fishburn, McLeod and Balding. All four of those running together, 15th down to 19th. But it's 2 from 2 today for the 2019 Shenington Cadet champion Bella Franklin. She'll cross the line and will look to add another heat win and a final win when we return after our lunch break, which is in 2 races time. So your winner goes over. That is Catherine Potter in the number 20 and the 23 of Charlie Wyatt. That's your top 3. There's Gracie Mitchell, who made the move for second place on the final lap. Ended of the day in 4th. 2 strokes will be out very shortly in the background. They're all gridded up. And we have Ryan Elliott on pole position for that class. And there is the O-plate of Ollie Poole going up and over the weighbridge. We'll be back in a few moments with our 2-stroke class for their rolling start for heat 2.
You could have that to eat in or take away.
Welcome back for heat number 2 of our 2-stroke class. On the front row with the number 66 Ryan Elliott alongside the number 33 of Max Prentice. They slow themselves down sufficiently to allow the back end of the 2-stroke grid to form up. Not always easy here at Teesside, quite a short lap for 2-stroke drivers. They're going to go round. Looks like we've got one driver pulling off in the background onto the grass with his arm up in the air as the front of the pack come through to take the green flag for the first time. And we are racing in 2-stroke heat 2. Cals Cole with a great start from the inside, goes straight into second place. We have Ryan Elliott out at the front, Cals Cole in second, Max Prentice third. Andrew Powell is fourth, but somebody's just tried to make a move down the inside of him. It looks to be Dan Kell. It is in the number 89. He's gone to the inside and will move up to fourth. Powell, though, will look to come back at him. He can't, and he has to slot back in between Kell and the 44 of Ambrose. Behind him, we have the 52 of Paul Swan. As they go all down the back straight. See if we can find out. We've got a number of drivers off. Yellow flags. One of those is the number 3. That's Jay Smith. Another driver's got his helmet off, so his race day is done. But out at the front, Ryan Elliott leads from Cals Cole. Cals Cole's dropped back behind Max Prentice, though. And then we've got Kell and Powell. Elliott, Prentice, Cole, Kell, Powell, Ambrose, Swan, Austin, Lindsay and Ballesteros, the top 10. A number of drivers out on lap 1. Smith, Burns and Lau. It looks like Smith's got himself going again. He's just come over the line with a 1:17.5. Parker and Cole, though, are both into the pit. So a number of drivers missing on lap number 1 of our second two-stroke race. But out at the front, there is Ryan Elliott, though, coming under pressure by the 33 of Max Prentice and the 18 of Carlos Cole. So the top 6 running together, and Cole has gone to the inside of Prentice. She'll now try and run right round the outside of Ryan Elliott. No can do, though. It's single file into the South Bank loop. Behind them, though, it looks like we've had Dan Kell goes to try and make a move on the 33 of Prentice. Nothing that Prentice can do, though. Unfortunately, Prentice holds firm from Kell. Behind them is Powell and Ambrose, the top 6, all running within a second of each other. It's now the turn of Carlos Cole to try and get herself past Ryan Elliott in his X30 as Dan Kell goes to the inside of Max Prentice and moves up to 3rd place in the number 89 machine. Prentice now followed by Powell down the back straight with Ambrose in tow as well. First of our back markers after a couple of the spinners are now being caught by our leaders. Powell and Cole managed to make their way through quite comfortably. Kell as well, and Kell's going to go to the inside of Carlos Cole. Dan Kell comes through into 2nd place. They're going to have to go right round the outside, though, of the number 3 of Jay Smith. Smith's going to, now it's going to put a break in the leaders. As the lead duo have managed to make their way through, and it's broken the tow. So Elliott and Cole are away. As Dan Kell goes to the inside of Ryan Elliott, and for the first time in a long time we have a new leader in 2-stroke, and it's the number 89 of Daniel Kell. Goes to the inside of Ryan Elliott as they go down the back straight and into the South Bank loop. So it's going to be Kell from Elliott, and now Elliott's going to fall back into the clutches of Cole in the number 18, Max Prentice. Andrew Powell and Andy Ambrose, the lead pack. Looks like Paul Swan is still there or thereabouts as well in the number 52 in 7th place. Cole and Elliott battling for 2nd. It's allowed Dan Kell to move down the back straight. Carlos Cole goes to the inside of Elliott. It's going to be tight into that bottom corner. Elliott has managed to hold firm, but Cole has finally got it done into hairpin number 3. So Ryan Elliott dropping away. He's won 6 races on the bounce through round 8 and the first of round 9, and now here he is finding himself in unfamiliar territory down in 3rd. Dan Kell sets a fastest lap of a 43.1. Carlos Cole and Ryan Elliott. Prentice remains in 4th with Andrew Powell all over the back of him in the green and black cart. Out onto the back straight. Powell looks to be all over the back, but elects not to make a move as they're going to come up to a back marker who sensibly moves out of the way and allows the leading pack through. So the 6 leaders running within a couple of seconds of each other, and Prentice is alongside Elliott. Elliott is having some sort of problem with that number 66 car. He's dropping away and Prentice is through, and now it's Powell's turn to try and inflict more misery on the driver of the number 66, Ryan Elliott. Out at the front, though, with 3 remaining, it's Dan Kell. Carlos Cole is in 2nd with Max Prentice 3rd. Elliott, though, tries to get himself back up there in the top 3, but as he comes out onto the back straight, Powell has elected to go to the inside. Elliott's going to try and stick it out round the outside, but Powell will have track position and moves up into 4th place. So from his pole position start, Elliott has dropped away and is now 5th. Andy Ambrose, the next one to have a go at the 66 of Elliott. Personal best time on that time by Dan Keller, 42, gets him out into the lead by almost 8 tenths with a lap and a half remaining. There he is going out of shot in the white helmet. He's well down the road and looks set for a heat win. Carl's Cole, though, keeping him honest at the bottom end of the circuit as they make their way down the inside of another one of our back markers. Stricken kart of the number 41, looks like Zach Bowker. Didn't even make the start, unfortunately. Coming to a halt on the rolling lap as Andy Ambrose makes a move to get past Ryan Elliott. I didn't think he realised he was quite as far past him as he was. He could have chopped in a lot earlier there, could Ambrose, and have got that one done a little bit sooner. Stayed wide though, and it looked like Elliott might have an opportunity to come back past him, but Ambrose has got the job done. Elliott with a lot of work to do in heat number 3 now, as in the distance we see the 79 of Powell overtake Prentice for 3rd overall. Prentice, though, still leads the junior class. Dan Kell, though, out in front, will take the checkered flag and the heat number 2 victory from Carl's Cole in the number 18. Powell on the final lap gets 3rd, Prentice 4th, Ambrose in 5th, Elliott 6th, Swan in 7th. Austin will come through in 8th in the number 23. Great result for him. Alfie Lindsay and Sandro Ballesteros get 2nd and 3rd respectively in the junior class. Then we've got Ben Puccini in the 4 and William Young in the 92. That's the top 5 in our juniors. And we have the number 3 of Jay Smith, the first of our Minimax drivers. So a mix of 2 strokes, but that is your 2 winners. The 89 of Daniel Kell and the 18 of Carl's Cole, who finished that one in 2nd. They'll start alongside each other on the front row. And Cole has made some superb starts so far today, so Dan Kell will need to be at his very best to hold her back at the start of heat number 3. One more race of the morning session for you in a few moments. That will be our senior Pro Kart class. Then we'll have a half-an-hour break and we'll be back at around about 1 o'clock for the afternoon session, where we will have the final of our heats and then the final round of finals for the 2019 season here at Teesside Karting. That's your junior winner, Max Prentice, in the number 33, going up and over the weighbridge. There's Ryan Elliott. He's going to need to find something to get that X30 back towards the head of the field when we come to our afternoon's racing. In a few moments it will be the final heat of the morning. It will be our senior Pro Kart class. They're getting ready in the background, just awaiting the 2-stroke class to come off the track, and the recovery of the number 41 of the unfortunate Zach Bowker. And we'll be back in a few moments with the final race of the morning. welcome back to round number 9 of the NRG Cycles Owner-Driver Sprint Series. I am David Sullivan. I'll be taking you through the rest of the day's action, which will end the morning session with our senior Pro Kart class. On the front row will be the pole sitter, the number 43 of Connor Lucas. Alongside him will be the 111 of Jake Brooker. Those two finishing the first heat in the positions 1 and 2. Behind them will be the O plate of Josh Folkus and the 113 of Ben Fallon. So the front row will roll through and will be positioned accordingly, with the 43 of Connor Lucas on the inside and Jake Brooker behind. Row 2 is Ben Fallon and Josh Folkus in 3, Fallon in 4. We're going to have Rob Lowe and Sam Harris 4, 5 and 6. That's the 31 of Scott Tate rolling in on the outside of Paul White in the 411, his first race season this season with the senior Pro Kart. 58 there on the outside, Steve Nicol, heat winner from yesterday in the wet weather conditions. Behind him, the 13 of Martin Black. Final few rows rolling into position. That's Thomas Lowther in the 186 inside the 757 Simon Doughty. Final row rolls in. At the back there is Connor White, retiree from heat number 1, will start at the back of the pack in the number 52. He needs some points in his quest for clubman honours against the 43 of Danielle Gardner. Green flag is down in hand at the moment. It's up, it's down again, and we are underway. Slow start by Brooker, but he's going to get a little bit of a push by Fallon, and that's kept him in second place. I think Folkus would have got through if it hadn't have been for that little bit of a nudge from Fallon, and in turn it's pushed Fallon back behind Rob Lowe. So we have Lucas at the front of the pack, as we have said many times this season. Drivers threading their way through the first complex of corners and onto the back straight. Everybody seems to have got through there without too much of a problem. And at the front of the pack, it is Connor Lucas from Jake Brooker, Josh Folkus, Rob Lowe and Ben Fallon, the top 5. Paul White is in 6th. So we'll watch them come through for the first time. Brooker coming under pressure from the O plate of Folkus. Lowe is 4th, Fallon 5th. There is the battle for 3rd place. Josh Folkus in the O plate, under pressure from the white, yellow and pink kart of Ben Fallon in the 111. Rob Lowe in the 64 has a contact warning. Behind him, Paul White and Sam Harris in the 53, and then Scott Tate is there. Lucas, though, out at the front, and that first lap speed that he's used formidably this season to get away from the pack. He's done it again. He's almost a second up from his pole position berth from Jake Brooker in 2nd place. Brooker, though, leading clubman class. Drivers shown with the red numbers on. So it's Lucas, Brooker, Folkus, Fallon, Lowe, Harris, White, Tate, Richardson, Jackman, Nichols, Gardner, Tate, White, Black, Lowther, Doughty, Brown, Brewis and Dowell. Fallon all over the, Folkus all over the back on the number 11 of Brooker. As they go round the bottom loop for the second time. Out, though, in the distance is the number 43 of Connor Lucas. As he flashes through, in the background is the battle for 2nd place. And then we have Steve Nicol in 11th, the train of karts in behind him. And that's the full pack through. That's Josh Eden in the number 4. So Lucas leads as Brooker continues to come under pressure by the O plate of Josh Folkus. Gets his head down behind the steering wheel, tries to get a little bit more speed away, but he can't. Down the back straight. Dives to the inside of Jake Brooker, but he can't get through. Brooker holding firm in second place. This is just allowing Connor Lucas to move out at the front of the field though, and have it all to himself as the battle for second rages on. Brooker holds the inside and holds firm. Doesn't give Focus a sniff of second place. Behind them though, Ben Fallon has got himself past Rob Lowe for fourth and will seek Josh Focus in third place. Class leaders further down. In ninth is Nigel Harris coming under Nigel Richardson. He's got a couple of seconds on Steve Nichols in the 58. So we are almost at half race distance, and Connor Lucas is off down the road, having a comfortable Sunday morning drive. Behind him though, the battle rages on between Jake Brooker and Josh Focus for second place. Brooker holds station. No need to look over the shoulder. He knows that Focus is there. Every time you look over the shoulder, Focus gets a lot of speed and nudges into the back of Jake Brooker. Don't know whether Brooker braked earlier or Focus just carried so much speed into there. No harm done though for either driver, and they will continue to battle round the bottom of the circuit. Brooker's gone quite wide. Focus goes to the inside. Focus with quite an abrasive move down the inside. Brooker's going to hold tight though, and his Focus is going to try and cut back to the inside, but he can't. Slots back in, but this has just brought Ben Fallon into play. There he is in fifth place, or fourth place on the back. Rob Lowe is in fifth, and the top five. Now the top four. So the top five are battling it out. The leader is down the road. There he goes out of shot, and the battle for second place. Focus goes to the inside of Brooker, runs Brooker wide onto the rumble strip. There's not much grip out there. Fallon's going to go through past both of them, is he? No. Brooker's stuck it out round the outside, and Focus has missed out. Fallon will eventually try and get the job done on Brooker, but he can't. Brooker stays in second. Fallon up to third. Focus all the way now back down to fourth. He was up to second for a few moments. Now he's back down in fourth. He couldn't get the move done, and it affected him in the long run. Lowe remains in fifth, right on the back of the tail, and sees how things are panning out in front of him, awaiting an opportunity with 3 laps remaining. Brooker though into the corner. These three nose to tail. Love taps left, right and centre on the back of the 113 of Fallon, Fallon from Focus. Brooker has got 1 or 2 kart lengths, but I still don't think he's near wide. Cuts in very, very soon, and Focus goes to the inside of Fallon. Gets through, could let the 64 of Lowe in as well. Lowe's going to go wide and try and cut in, but Focus has got that 4th place back. As out at the front of the field, the 46.567 gives Connor Lucas the fastest lap of the race as he just concentrates on going forward and keeping that 1st place. So Lucas, Brooker, Focus, Fallon, Lowe, Tate, White, Harris and Richardson. 9th, he is the leading 40s driver. Nicol has dropped back down to 12th in that class. Connor White up to 13th already. He comes through from the back of the grid, but he's still behind Danielle Gardner, who looks in prime position as Josh Focus goes to the inside of Jake Brooker. Jake Brooker's going to lose a couple of places here, is he? Lowe's going to come through as well on the outside. Brooker's gone from 2nd to 5th in the space of a corner. Focus went down the inside and forced him wide, and everybody else has gone through as well. Jake Brooker loses out as they start the final lap of Senior Pro Kart Heat number 2. Here at round number 9 of the NRG Cycles Owner-Driver Sprint Series. Brooker looks to make amends by going to the inside of Lowe, down the inside. Is he going to do it? No, he can't. Drops back into formation, but out at the front and a long way down the road is the number 43 of Connor Lucas. He's going to come through and take the checkered flag. We're going to stay with this battle because it's kicking off in the background. the O-plate of Falkus comes through. He's going to go second. Side by side, though, is Brooker and Lowe over the line. Brooker just about nicks it up into fourth. Lowe is fifth. Tate sixth. White seventh. Harris in eighth. Richardson ninth. Gardner 10th. Black 11th. Then we've got Nicol in 12th. Mark Tate 13th. Connor White ends up in 14th. David Brewis, Simon Doughty, Ross Jackman, Tom Lowther, Emma Brown and Adam Wood round out the top 20 drivers. So as that brings our close to the morning's action here at Teesside Karting. Jake Brooker there comes through, finally got past right on the line as him and Rob Lowe ran side by side out of the final corner and did in fact at the end manage to sneak fourth place from the driver of the number 64 car. So your race winner once again this morning is Connor Lucas. That's 2 from 2 for him in Senior Pro Kart. We're now going to have a half-an-hour lunch break before we return just before 1 o'clock for heat number 3 of our Bambino class. Thank you very much for joining us here at Teesside Karting, and we'll see you again in around about half an hour. Testing volume, that's, yeah. one back. That one back in. That fine.
That's got noise.
Yeah, good.
I've got no idea. We have one set of headphones